Hidden traces of the past and extraordinary locations of the present in this episode of Mystery Places. The most luxurious bunker in the United States of America. The most dangerous minefield in Europe. A former Olympic competition site. Dancing with Death, the village of the cobras in Thailand. A strange deserted shopping center in the shape of a pentagon right in the middle of Shanghai. And inside the UN headquarters, we also find baffling spots and look behind the scenes. All this now on Mystery Places. We start our trip in Kansas, USA. Here we meet the creator of what is said to be the safest place in the world. We're not allowed to reveal the precise address, as people are constantly trying to break in.
That other people show up with guns, and our guns were bigger than their guns, and they got arrested, and it's a serious business.
We arrive after a half-hour drive through a land devoid of people. First impression, a maximum security prison. Cameras and heavily armed guards everywhere.
You'll see the level of security when we get out here. It's nothing to be messing with. If you're starting to climb the fence and damage the property and try to hurt people that are there, we can shoot back.
How you doing? You guys have your IDs on you?
Yeah.
You don't have any weapons or any bombs or any dead bodies or anything on board, do you?
No.
You wouldn't mind if I pat you down before you come in, just to make sure you don't have any
No problem. I can
anything
get out
on you?
of the car.
All right, if you step out of the vehicle, I'd appreciate it.
We're checked from head to toe. This is how every visitor is welcomed, no matter who they are. At least 2 members of security staff continuously monitor the site. They can even arrest people in coordination with the police. But what is so valuable? The answer is in here. In a disused nuclear missile silo from the Cold War, which owner Larry Hall has turned into a luxury residential complex. Here, the inhabitants should be able to survive any kind of catastrophe. What's known as the luxury survival condo extends across 14 stories under the ground and offers space for up to 75 people. There's a pool, a cinema, a doctor's surgery, a supermarket, and much more here. An autonomous town spread out over 17,000 square meters. If you have enough pocket money, 1.2 million euros is all you need.
Residential level 5.
Larry spends most of his life down here. As the founder of the complex, he is responsible for the safety of all the apartment owners. Each morning, he checks whether a catastrophe is imminent. Through his former job in the government and NASA, he knows the secret websites that provide him with such information.
Today we have a 45% chance of an X flare, which is the strongest rated solar flares. These are the kind of flares that with a coronal mass ejection, and it's pointed towards the Earth right now. So we're keeping our eye on this because we're in a kind of a danger situation there. That could definitely impact a lot of people globally.
The bunker is fitted with a specially developed alarm system. Each of the residents has an app that informs him immediately of possible danger. Yellow indicates a possible catastrophe, and red means that all residents should immediately head to the bunker. The solar storm could change the alarm from green to yellow. Despite the threat, Larry has an appointment for viewing with a potential buyer. Dawn Snyder has 3 children and is looking for safe accommodation if catastrophe should strike. Larry wants to show her that she wouldn't need to go without any comforts here.
Is that easy to open then?
Very easy,
Okay.
yeah. But it's also very protective. Deepest in the middle down by
A pool and spa area behind steel doors is intended to provide the necessary distraction for the residents and stave off depression during prolonged stays. Larry has sought advice from psychologists on how life down here can be made as normal as possible.
You can get a cup of coffee in the morning, come up here, be around some trees, have some high volume ceilings. If you have any little dogs, we've got a pet park over here.
Provisions are also made for any little deposits left by the residents' four-legged friends. An anti-odor spray keeps the air at the neighboring climbing wall clean. The guided tour continues, 8 stories underground. Down here, a library awaits for the people to read and while away their time. Next to it is another project that is close to Larry's heart. He has even thought about the education of the children in the event of a catastrophe.
We envision the moms maybe coming down here and being next door while the kids are in the classroom over here.
A digital classroom. Dawn's children could go to school here one day. They would learn on computers on which an extensive digital library and even parts of the internet are stored.
And teachers, instructors, you have that on site then?
You rotate. You will be a teacher for 1 month. I will be a teacher for 1 month.
In the event of a disaster, when the bunker is closed, each resident must spend 4 hours a day working in different jobs. Dawn would have to regularly teach her own children. According to psychologists, the rotating jobs should help the residents cope with the confinement. And now the luxury apartment. Here Dawn could live with her children. The entire floor measures around 170 square meters and offers space for up to 10 people. Price point, around 2.5 million euros. And it's so luxurious that you don't even need to be able to see outside.
And what is this?
Those are electronic windows. Those let you know that you are not underground. Everything has these electronic iPads that let you control what you have. So we're in this room.
You could say these are the windows onto the outside world. You can choose between 3 cameras that are installed outside or other programs. At any rate, Dawn seems to be impressed by the features of the apartment.
Next best thing. If it's not safe to go outside, at least to be able to look out.
At the end of the viewing, Dawn is sure she could imagine living down here. The world out there no longer feels safe to her.
What are we scared of? And just the world falling apart. And I think it's every day we get closer and closer to it. And I feel better already knowing, we're planning for our future, for our safety, and we're going to be okay.
Larry now has to make all the preparations for a possible solar storm. Mark Menoski will help him. They have known each other for 15 years. Larry developed the concept for the bunker with him. Mark also spends most of his time down here. The solar storm could cut the power supply, so they check the diesel generators.
We have 20,000 gallons of diesel fuel stored underground. Let's open up the generators and check their status.
The bunker is equipped with 2 of these high-performance generators, which can produce electricity for at least 2.5 years.
I'm going to put it back in the automatic mode so that if there is a power outage, it will be available for service.
But Larry and Mark are ready not just for solar storms. They have devised solutions for all possible catastrophes. Especially important, the air the residents will breathe. Various filter systems protect against air affected by nuclear or biochemical contamination. A project that lies very close to Mark's heart can be found 3 stories down, the aquaponics system. The name refers to a technique used to produce fish and crop plants underground, a self-sustaining water and nutrient cycle. The system is the centerpiece of the bunker. Mark wants to cultivate over 70 different varieties of vegetable here. For each vegetable, there is a different light frequency, and so sunlight becomes unnecessary. If one were to live permanently in the bunker, the inhabitants would be supplied from here with fresh foods. Even fish are included. Until that happens, we go on shopping tour in the bunker's own supermarket, which offers a huge range of different meals. all of which can be kept for 25 years.
Maybe for lunch we'll have, or for dinner we'll have chicken. So we'll get some chicken here. Chicken and rice sound good.
Shopping here is somewhat different than in normal supermarkets. Mark is particularly proud of that.
It's almost like you see in the Star Trek series where there's no money changed hands. When the people buy into this condo concept, everything here is included as part of the basic survival package. It's a free supermarket.
That's not completely true. The residents actually have to pay a monthly flat rate of up to 4,000 euros for incidental expenses. Upstairs, Larry checks the prison cell with the head of security. In closed mode, the law of the state of Kansas applies here in the bunker, and residents who break the law can also be locked up.
People have good days, people have bad days. And when you have up to 75 people in close quarters and, you know, somebody could have a bad day. All of the advisors and the design team thought that it was very prudent to have a timeout room for adults, so we can bring people in here and let them cool out.
Larry's luxury bunker is not only protected against catastrophes, it is protected with an electric fence, by dozens of high-resolution security cameras, and by a remote-controlled drone. Larry can monitor and control all of this from a room underground. Today, a suspicious vehicle attracts his attention.
Hey Mark, hey. Hey, can you come on in? I gotta show you. Okay, bye.
Stephen is responsible for security across the whole site.
But I did see some other activity at the end of the driveway down here. Some other vehicles came by. Do you want to check with the guard on duty up there and see if there's any cars looking around, if they've been coming or going? Sure.
Stephen sets off with one of the two military vehicles, each weighing over 10 tons. This means that in the event of a catastrophe, residents could be brought from one bunker into the other. Today, Stephen is using it as a reconnaissance vehicle.
Anything suspicious that could be of any danger? That could be people laying in the field here with military gear, any gear, a rifle.
Did you ever have that happen?
No comment.
The security team works closely with the police. They can even take people into custody. They also have access to the police radio.
Florida 1047 on Highway 28. The RP airbag deployed. He is not injured.
The car features shooting hatches and is fully equipped with various weapons. Stephen spent a long time in the US Army. After he returned from Iraq, he accepted a job from Larry around a year ago. He takes his job very seriously.
We don't break any laws, but we're prepared for whatever happens. If we're not worried about safety, we wouldn't have any security, because security is safety. I don't know, I guess it's just in my blood, it's what I do.
Today, apart from a few farmers in the field, there were no anomalies. Everything has been quiet this evening for his colleagues at the gate too. In the event of a catastrophe, Stephen would have to stay outside. He cannot afford the luxury bunker. Nevertheless, he would perform his duties until the end.
Well, I'll stay here until we get all the residents in, buttoned in, taken care of. You know, when chaos hits, war, everything else, you see so many people going, everybody's out for themselves. There's got to be some kind of humanity.
While Mark has dinner, Larry phones his young son. He sold his house, car, and much more for the bunker. He has created a safe place above all for his family. However, during term time, his son lives 6 hours away in Denver.
Hey, Luke. Well, anyway, I'm going to be home on Thursday. What else do you want to do while I'm home?
I may do indoor soccer.
Mark makes himself comfortable alone in the bunker cinema, 13 stories underground. The alarm system is on green, no danger today, and so Larry is out enjoying the heavenly sunset over Kansas. Sheer luxury and safety, and glittering future prospects.
This is a 1,000-year structure. It will just be here forever.
And so ends the day at one of the world's safest places. Our next mysterious place is located in Bosnia and Herzegovina. This bobsleigh run is located in the most dangerous minefield in Europe. The Olympic facilities are found on the outskirts of the capital, Sarajevo. Even today, people continue to die here.
1984 ging es bei den Winterspielen hier um olympische Medaillen. Für Sarajevo war das ein Großereignis. Und das ist einer der wenigen Plätze hier, der heute noch davon übrig geblieben ist.
The tranquility is deceptive. There is a danger of explosions. Our reporter Johannes is not allowed to move around here without a guide. Raza Mesanovic grew up in Sarajevo.
Hallo.
Hi, Johannes.
Raza, freut mich.
Schön, dich kennenzulernen.
Ich auch.
Raza, ich muss zugeben, das hat schon irgendwie was Gespenstisches hier.
Wie man sehen kann, es ist eine richtige Ruine. Einfach so hintergelassen. Keiner kümmert sich darum.
Das stimmt, vom olympischen Glanz ist wenig übrig.
Überhaupt nicht.
This is still a life-threatening place after all. Things were quite different back in 1984. The Winter Olympic Games, long considered the best organized ever. The GDR was at the top of the medals table. The former Yugoslavia was peaceful, but it would not last for long. Today, the ground behind the ice track is full of mines. For a reason, Sarajevo in 1992. Bosnia and Herzegovina want independence from Yugoslavia. The Serbian supremacy tries to prevent this at all costs. The result, 100,000 deaths in 3 years. Raza and Johannes are at the bobsleigh run. One false step could result in death.
Aber sterben Menschen immer noch durch Minen?
Natürlich. Das ist noch ein großes Problem in Bosnien. Ungefähr 20 bis 50 Leute pro Jahr sterben an Minen.
Das ist schon ein beklemmendes Gefühl.
Although clearing work is in high gear, detecting every last mine is a Sisyphean task. The country will not be completely safe until 2019 at least. Until then, you should never enter the forests of Sarajevo without a guide. On the bobsleigh run, Johannes and Raza are now entering what was a strategically important point during the war. The start. This was the site of a fierce battle.
Das ist schon Wahnsinn. Du läufst durch den Wald, du siehst nur Nebel und dann aus dem Nichts
kommt
dann die Bobbahn hier. Sind das alles noch Brandspuren?
Ja, von dem Krieg.
Vom Krieg.
Built as a sporting facility, the place would be used as a base for military operations only a few years later. The very grounds on which sporting successes were celebrated in the 80s turned into a fierce battleground in the 90s. Although the bobsleigh run is now overgrown, it offered the best view and protection during the war. The army used the ice track as a trench from which to fire. An Olympic restaurant near the facility shows the bizarre panoramic view of the Bosnian capital even today.
Was für einen Blick!
Ja, der Ausblick ist schön, aber der Rest nicht. Das war hier tatsächlich während Olympia ein Restaurant.
Das war ein ganz tolles Restaurant. Das hat sehr gut gearbeitet.
Jetzt hat der Krieg natürlich hier ordentlich gewütet. Guck mal, du siehst sogar an der Wand noch die Einschusslöcher.
The bobsleigh track is the only safe place to walk today. Everywhere else, there is a risk of explosive mines. You should not roam the woods without a guide. We would have liked to have visited the ski jump, but the safe paths disappear under snow. Too dangerous. The wounds of the Bosnian people are slow to heal. The Olympic ruins have long since become a memorial site for them. Local graffiti artists help keep the memory of that terrible time alive. And that's not likely to change anytime soon.
Gibt's eigentlich irgendwelche Pläne für die Anlage?
Keine Pläne. Die Bobbahn wartet eigentlich auf die schönere Zeit.
Better times would mean an investor, but there are none. And demolition is too expensive, as well as too dangerous at the moment. From Sarajevo to Thailand, where we discover a mysterious location full of fearful creatures. A village hidden in the forest. In front of every house, the mysterious boxes, stacked up on top of each other and tightly closed. They may look unimportant, but inside each box is every resident's greatest source of wealth, and at the same time, their greatest foe. King Cobras. Their scientific name, Ophiophagus hanna, means snake eater. Like cannibals, they prey almost solely on their own kind. They are the world's largest poisonous snakes. Their venom can kill humans within just a few hours. They are feared and avoided all over the world. But here in the northeast of Thailand, in the village of the King Cobras, they are the center of life. 1,000 species of snakes live close to the village, and their presence can be felt all around it. Snake fighters enter the ring on a weekly basis to fight what they fear the most. 3 people lost their lives last year taking part in this tradition. Tam was in a coma for 2 weeks. The doctors had given up on him, and he had been declared dead by the local press. But he lived. A medical miracle that just 2 years ago nobody believed in. Like his father and grandfather before him, the Thai spent his childhood fighting king cobras. He was one of the most talented fighters in the village. But the bite changed him. Tam used to be slender and athletic, until one day he made a near-fatal mistake.
ผมก็สายหัวพอดีมันนิ่งเด้นิ่งผมเลยสิก้มไปกวบหัวจังหวะสองมันเงือกหัวมันขึ้นผมหมดว่าเงือกหัวผมออกซับลงเลยครับคือผ่าผมก็มือตีขึ้น3 เทียกระจังหวะครับใครแล้วกัดข้าเลยกัดปุ๊บข้างูนี่มันสิแข็งเลยนิ่งเลยใครสิไปดึงยังไงก็บ่ออกคือเวลามันกัดปุ๊บมันฟอดตีออกเลย
Although it almost took his life, he couldn't kill his cobra. Like everyone else in the village, Tam has a love-hate relationship with his Nung Nim, whose name translates into lucky charm. Up until now, however, it's done anything but bring him luck.
แต่เราพูดจงอางนี่ครับเฮาหักเขาแต่ว่าเขานี่บ่หักเฮาสิเป็นคู่ศัตรูกันอยู่ตลอดนะครับสำหรับพูดจงอางบ่ฮู้จักเจ้าของครับบ่ฮู้จักผู้เลี้ยงบ่ฮู้จักผู้เอาอาหารให้กินนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นคือหันเฮาหยอกเขาปุ๊บนี่เขาสิกัดเราปั๊บเลยพวกนี้
Tam has been bitten 3 times. The last time he went into a coma and wanted to stop keeping king cobras and fighting them. Yet, it's an old tradition which has been passed down from one generation to the next. If you give it up, then you betray your family. For more than 100 years, snakes have been kept here as pets. Yet at the same time, they're also a commodity, like the spitting cobras. Tam has to sneak up from the side. Then the spitting cobras feel threatened and spit their venom into the eyes of their opponent and blind them from up to 3 meters away. Tam sells the cobras to Malaysians who drink their blood. It is said that spitting cobras make men virile. But why are there so many cobras here? There used to be a jungle here, which made it a natural habitat for snakes. When humans came and built their village, they started to actively hunt the cobras. Since there was no hospital nearby, the villagers wanted to find an anti-venin. They ritualized this tradition into fighting. Tam will also compete tomorrow. It will be the first time since the last bite by Nung Nim, his king cobra. Tam goes into the forest to get the anti-venin before every show. There is no doctor or pharmacy in the entire village. A long time ago, the Thais discovered a root in the forest called Wanjapu and swear by it as an anti-venin. Doctors are skeptical of its effect, yet the villagers believe that it gives them time. If they're bitten, they have to travel to the clinic, which is 45 minutes away.
เป็นแบบบางสีเลยครับบดแบบนี้เลยเวลาใส่แผลเฮามันสิใส่ได้สะดวกสบายนะครับสำหรับพันเวลาเฮาสิเอาใส่นะครับนี่ใส่เอาเปลือกตัวนี้เลยครับนี่เอาใส่มันสิเป็นเฮาหยาลงปึ๊บนี่มันสิเป็นเฟียนกัดปากเฮานะครับผู้ใดสำหรับผู้ใดถือกัดมาแล้วกินทีนึงแล้วสิมีอาการเฟียนเบียสิบ่อยากกินอีกเลย
The actual anti-serum, which is made from snake venom and which inactivates the venom from a bite, can only be administered by doctors. But what happens to a body when it is bitten? The poison attacks the nervous system, among other things. It attacks the synapses, which are the points of contact between neurons and other cells. If they are impaired, then no information can be relayed, which leads to paralysis. The lymphatic system spreads the venom throughout the body. At the beginning of the poisoning, cranial nerves are attacked. That's why the eyelids, facial muscles, tongue and throat are the first to be crippled. If the venom spreads further, the respiratory muscles are also paralyzed. The bite victim is in danger of suffocating. In the meantime, the village has turned the snake infestation into a business. While some grow the anti-venin root, others like the trader Yod travel to neighboring villages to sell the root as a remedy. The neighboring towns don't have as many snakes as the village of the king cobras, but as is typical for eastern Thailand, superstition and alternative healing methods are also deeply rooted here. Yod always has his king cobra with him in order to carry out the job of educating, as he puts it. He earns around 250 euros per month selling his remedies. Even today, the first customer has already taken the bait.
อาจจะเฮาถือกันเฮาสิจังได๋ซั่นบัดนี้มันก็มียาบานต่อต้านพิษงูโอ้สิมีบานนี่ติอันนี้บานงูบานนี้แก้ได้อีหลีติอันนี้ก็แก้ได้เพราะว่าบ่ให้น้ำพิษบ่เลียนเข้าติ่มตำหัวใจเฮาหรือว่ากินทุเลาบ่แม่นให้เต้าเลยอันนี้กินทุเลาว่าบ่ให้น้ำพิษเลียนเข้าตำพิษประสาทเฮาหรือว่าตำหัวใจเฮาป้องกันชีวิตเฮา
The woman pays roughly €1.25 for the root.
ตายวัดวันทองถ้าเห็นหูจักว่าบาดตัวนี้เพราะว่ารู้อยู่แล้วค่ะว่าหวานนี่เขาเจ้าที่บ้านโฆษณาเขาเจ้าว่ามันดีก็จะซื้อไปติดบ้านไว้เพราะว่าไปปลูกไว้ย่างหน่อยๆค่ะมันก็เห็นเฮาอุ่นใจว่าหวานตัวนี้มันสิสามารถช่วยชีวิตเฮาได้เวลาที่เฮาถูกงูกัดหรือว่าสัตว์อย่างอื่นกันนะคะ
The fear of reptiles is great, and as experience shows us, there's also a reason for it. On the other hand, our camera team was surprised at just how calmly the villagers confronted a tiger python slithering through their village. The women and children don't care. Constrictors may not be poisonous, but they are capable of breaking all the bones of a man. A call to the snake hunter known throughout the village. Every day he catches about 10 snakes that get into the villagers' homes. Once again, it's made quite clear that every job in the village has some connection with all the snakes around. The cobra fighters have easily the most dangerous job. While Tam sets out with his King Cobra for the first time in 2 years, numerous spectators gradually begin to meet at the stage. The village isn't advertised in the travel guide because visitors to the fight are mainly Thais and locals who attach a certain spiritual meaning to the fights. Before the show, Tam and his oldest colleague, Kom Thai, show us that the animals aren't milked before the fight. In other words, their venom glands are still full.
เราต้องระมัดระวังช่วยเหลือตัวเองถ้ารีบงูก็เชื่องช้าลงงูจะพร้อมแห้งแรงน้อยลงไปรีบไม่ได้
Kom Thai has been fighting with cobras for 59 years, and he has been bitten 21 times. In this part of the world, limbs are frequently and too quickly amputated after snake bites because they swell up. The venom may damage the tissue, but amputations are rarely necessary in the case of subsequent infections. Before every fight, Tam is the only fighter to put on a vest. It offers him an additional layer of protection. If the cobra bites the chest, he hopes that its teeth will get caught in this mesh. The first fight begins. The 69-year-old Kom Thai is ahead of him. The oldest man in the village claims to be immune to snake venom by now. If he's bit, he no longer goes to the hospital, but simply sucks out the poison. Whether this is true, nobody knows. After all, there's no scientific evidence that a person can become completely immune after being bitten many times. Tam knows he is not immune. He almost didn't survive the last bite. It was Nung Nim, this King Cobra. It's allowed to drink once before the fight and to cool down. Then it's down to business.
ตื่นอยู่ครับตื่นเต้นอยู่เพราะว่าที่ว่าของเฮ็ดบ่ได้บ่ได้ขึ้นไปแล้วเพราะเหตุใดครับเพราะว่าเฮาก็ฮู้ใจงูตัวนี้เคยสัมผัสมาแตะก่อนนะครับเคยสัมผัสมาแตะก่อนเฮาก็ฮู้จักจังหวะมันและตอนนี้วันนี้นะคะถ่ายสารคดีออกไปออกเยอรมนี
The goal of the fight is to last 1.5 minutes with the snake that bit Tam and sent him into a coma 2 years ago. King Cobras don't usually attack humans out in nature. But since here on the stage, they're continuously provoked by movement, they start a mock attack or a defensive bite. In this case, the snake doesn't really bite. The cobra doesn't have many natural enemies and doesn't want to waste its venom. That's why it will only bite at the place where it registered the last movement. The marking shows Tam's last position, where he provoked the snake. And in fact, the King Cobra goes no further. Eye contact is important. Tam has to recognize when the snake will attack in order to leap out of the way at the right moment. If the cobra is serious about biting, it would not flare its hood into a threatening position, but would rather creep up. Then Tam would have no chance of dodging the fangs. 3 fighters lost their lives this way. Tam's weight does not work to his advantage in fights. After the last bite, the 25-year-old put on 10 kilos because of the infusions. At the high point of the fight, the 25-year-old is supposed to kiss the snake. It's the critical moment at which last time he was bitten. The spectators are thrilled and give money. In the meantime, the fighting rituals have become the village's greatest source of income. Getting the next generation excited about the village tradition is all the more important for them. The youngest fighter is called Focus and is 4 years old. The beauty rat snake isn't poisonous, but it is aggressive. The vicious but harmless snake is meant to teach him that a bite only hurts for a little while, and it also helps him get rid of his fear. Yet the fear remains throughout life. For nobody knows when the next King Cobra will bite. The next mysterious place is located in Shanghai. Even satellite images show that there is a building in China's metropolis that looks like the US Department of Defense, the Pentagon. The comparison makes it clear. The Chinese copy is almost as big as the original. Why did the Chinese copy an American government building? And what's inside? Its 24 million inhabitants make Shanghai one of the largest cities in the world. We drove far into the eastern part of the city on our search for the Chinese Pentagon, a rural area. People here know the building very well.
去年是说那边要开条路的，可能资金不够，现在还没有动工。去年就说要动工的，到今年还没有。本来是那边开一条路，一直往那边的。
The building is known by the name Wujiao Da Lu in China. Literally translated, it means five-corner building. We want to ask about it in this restaurant. But why is it so empty here, although it's lunchtime?
这个吃香了，这边全部拆掉，以前人多一点，现在这里里面没有人。
The building changed the lives of many people here in the region. We follow directions given at the restaurant and end up in front of this gate. Although the Chinese version is not as well secured as the US original, the flags are waving inside, just like at the US Department of Defense. Since we can't find an entrance, we unpack our drone. We want to get a more accurate picture of things from above. The dimensions only become evident from the air. At 500,000 square meters, the Chinese copy of the Pentagon is almost as big as the original. An area the size of 70 football fields. But we don't see any people from above. Even the gigantic car park is empty. We finally find an open gate in the east wing and drive right in. To our surprise, this takes us to a large supermarket. Shopping at the Pentagon? Indeed. But bizarre images await us here too. No shoppers, empty aisles and shelves. The supermarket management is watching us skeptically. We thus continue shooting with a hidden camera. Forklift driver Jin Lui has worked here since the Pentagon came into being. We want to find out more from him. His house was right where the Pentagon now stands. He sold it for a lot of money. This was actually supposed to become a huge shopping center, but
怎么说发财啊？这等着政府牵引那个投资啊。那这里嘛，就是也是个谍机了，对面嘛又是一个仓库了。
The construction project has already swallowed 180 million euros. There were supposed to be luxury shops here in a new super mall, but the plan didn't work out.
这是小区房嘛，而我们这里不是就是正好在改建嘛，还没搞好。现在政府出资了嘛，就是慢慢搞一下，把它搞好弄好之后嘛再起。
We are still accompanying Jin Lui when security suddenly appears in front of us. Camera crews are not welcome here, we are told. We must leave the premises immediately. The security guard prohibits us from returning and threatens to call the police. New day, new attempt. We want to find out what else is in the building and why it's been abandoned. We send another team to the Pentagon and get inside through a side entrance. Broken glass, smeared walls. This looks nothing like the Pentagon. The lifts don't work. Escalators out of order. Apart from the supermarket, the huge building is empty. But is someone there? No security this time. But who's the man with the camera?
哎，你好。
你好。哎，请问你现在在这边干什么？
我在这边随便逛一逛，随便拍一拍。就是其实嘛，我平时也是经常会在全国各地，包括上海一些比较有特色的地方走一走，拍一拍，拍一些自己比较感兴趣的照片，就留作纪念吧。
Xianji Chao works as an account manager and is a photo blogger in his spare time. We follow him into the Mal's underground parking area. Not a single car is parked in the oversized parking garage.
很震撼。在这么一个空旷的地方放了这么流行的音乐，大概是为了我们这些好奇人听的吧。
The empty parking garage is constantly filled with the sounds of Western music, although there's nobody here. But it gets even stranger. A gigantic unused area, endless corridors, and an infrastructure that is gradually falling into disrepair.
好恶心！怎么地上都是水？难道平时有人在用吗？
The power outlets are in working order almost everywhere. The sanitary facilities, however, are out of order. Alongside all the garbage, we suddenly discover a chic office. The locking system makes funny noises, though.
应该有人用的，因为它那个指纹上是没有土的。而且这里像是刚刚有人擦，不以前有人擦过的样子。不过。
Even after waiting for some time, we do not find the owner of the office. Xianji Chao tells us that ghost malls like these are not uncommon in China. Another ghost mall is located in Dongguan in southern China. It looks even worse in Ordos, where an entire town is empty. The main reasons for the failed construction projects: massive overestimation of the market situation and lack of government controls. The operators have badly miscalculated in the case of the Pentagon too. And the empty building continues to incur costs.
国家说减排减能，节排节能，难道就是这么操作的吗？不行，我要拍下来，拍下来放到微博里去，让大家都来看一看。
We make our way to the center of the Pentagon. The huge inner courtyard is beautifully maintained. The plants have been trimmed, and it still looks quite tidy despite years of lying fallow. What are these visitors waiting for?
可能要借助这个迪士尼乐园这个主题，它才能。
这个不，这个位置不是太好。
反正呢，
你要是买住宅的话，你要考虑能通轻轨，通轻轨你出去方便一点。
This year, Asia's biggest Disney World is scheduled to complete construction at a distance of 8 kilometers from the Pentagon building, and is expected to attract millions of visitors to the region. It is currently still a building construction site, however. Amateur photographer Xianji Chao also hopes Disney World will attract more visitors.
见到上海的迪士尼乐园马上在6月份就要开园了，这个呢是整个上海，就是整个或者说全中国都众所周知的一个项目。
Shanghai's empty Pentagon. Whether the new theme park impacts the letting situation in the monumental building complex, only the future will tell. Until then, this place will remain an exceptional lost place. After watching a copied American building, we visit an original one in New York. 39 stories, a total area of 69,000 square meters and several thousand employees. The United Nations headquarters is an essential part of New York's skyline. Yet the United Nations isn't located on American territory at all, and inside there are several baffling spots. Arcane old phone booths, a security door. And what does Austria have to do with the UN Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon? Main objectives of UN in New York: ensuring world peace and collaboration between nations. The UN headquarters is located in Midtown Manhattan on the site of a former slaughterhouse. John D. Rockefeller donated the land to the international organization in 1946. But why is it nevertheless not located on American territory? Let's take a closer look. Here it looks like a heavily guarded border. Fences, cameras, armed security personnel. The UN is extraterritorial. It officially does not belong to any nation. The UN even maintains its own small police force. They are also responsible for hoisting the 193 flags of the member states every morning at 8 o'clock. Officer Juan Reyes has been working here for 15 years.
Sometimes we have a lot of demonstrations going on where you have to use some force, and as well as demonstrations that come from outside coming in. But it's very rare. We have some instances where we had, I don't know if you heard, back in 2003 or 2004, there was a shootout here in the United Nations where a Korean national came in and did some shootout.
Every visitor to the UN has to go through this security check at the entrance. Just like at the airport, they have to pass through an X-ray machine and hand over dangerous objects such as knives. The UN even has its own post office. Its main distinctive feature: only here you can buy your own UN stamps and send mail with a UN postmark. Directly below here in the UN's basement is the fire station. It is made up of a handful of firefighters with exceptionally professional equipment. They extinguish small blazes themselves. The New York City Fire Department is only called in. Next, we'll take a look at what is probably the best-known part of the UN building, the General Assembly. Once a year, all 193 member nations gather here for official proceedings. The first surprise comes right away, in the entry area. Why is there a set of stairs here that is obviously prohibited from use? It connects the entry area with the main entrance to the General Assembly. It doesn't look dilapidated, so why is there a protective grating? Werner Schmidt, who's responsible for architecture at the UN, knows the answer. He reveals to us that the stairs were built this way on purpose.
Man muss staatsmännisch schreiten, man kann nicht einfach gehen. So ist die nicht konstruiert. Wenn man einfach nur normal läuft, fällt man auf die Nase. Sie wird nur benutzt zu den höchsten Anlässen.
It's true. If you take normal steps, you'll quickly lose your balance on the extremely long stairs. That's why they're opened only once a year for the General Assembly. These doors lead to the General Assembly's official ceremonies. The UN's largest hall has space for over 1,800 people. Every year from September to December, representatives of all member nations meet here, for example, to adopt resolutions. More or less every politician of note has been a guest speaker here. For example, then President of the Soviet Union, Nikita Khrushchev's angry outbursts are legendary. Fidel Castro of Cuba held the longest speech to date here in 1960. It was 4.5 hours long. And the former president of Palestine, Arafat, is said to have once appeared at the lectern with a loaded revolver. The seating arrangement of the individual countries is alphabetical. Right at the front, there's the next exciting UN fact. This meter-tall golden wall. It's 230 square meters long and completely covered in gold leaf.
Das Originaldesign, das waren an der Wand so reflektierende Teller, das sah ein wenig aus wie an einem Raumschiff. Und als es dann losging mit dem Fernsehen, war das unmöglich, weil es so reflektiert hat, dass man überhaupt nichts mehr sehen konnte. Und so kam man auf die Idee, man macht hier was Edles, was nicht reflektiert, da bietet sich Gold an.
There are headphones at every delegate's seat. These aren't cutting-edge models. Is this ancient technology really in use at such a famous institution?
Also das sieht antiquiert aus, aber das menschliche Ohr hat seine Form in den letzten 10.000 Jahren nicht grundlegend verändert. Also diese ganze Technik, dass hier Reden simultan gedolmetscht werden in verschiedene Sprachen, wurde für die UNO entwickelt, Ende der 40er Jahre.
The UN is currently undergoing major renovations. Although everything is digital today, this tried and true analog technology has survived. The interpreters' booths are located up above. They're sort of the box seats of the UN theatre. The UN has 6 official languages: English, French, Russian, Spanish, Chinese, and Arabic. Jennifer Kearns is one of 100 UN interpreters. She pays attention not only to what she hears, but also to what she sees.
Es ist wichtig, dass wir den Körper sehen, dass wir den Gesicht sehen vom Redner, sagen wir so. Weil Lippen lesen, das tun wir natürlich nicht. Aber man kriegt unheimlich viele Informationen vom Gesichtsausdruck von jemandem, wenn er redet. Man sieht zum Beispiel, wie er oder sie sich hält, ob sie aufgeregt sind, ob sie zufrieden mit etwas sind, ob sie wütend über etwas sind.
In this age of cell phones, what role do these old phone booths play in the General Assembly? They stand in the side aisles and look like something out of a black and white film. Somehow they just don't fit in at a modern global institution like the UN. What's more, they don't even work anymore.
Früher, kurz nach der Steinzeit, als es noch keine Handys gab, da haben Journalisten und Delegierte diese Telefonzellen benutzt. Haben sich 20 Cent geliehen und dann konnten die telefonieren. So war das früher.
You can't make calls in these old phone booths anymore, but they remain as mementos. We're changing buildings. The Secretariat Tower measures 155 meters. Several thousand people from almost every nation work here peacefully across 39 stories. It is the UN's administrative building. It's also where the Secretary General's office is located. Did you know that he sits at a desk from Austria? Secretary General Ban Ki-moon's office is located all the way at the top of the UN Tower. From here, he doesn't just have a beautiful view, he also makes decisions of global significance. And right here at this desk, which was made in Austria, it was specially crafted from elm wood with a stainless steel UN logo. Value, tens of thousands of euros. The heart of the UN is located on the 7th floor. What's hiding behind this security gate? And why do so few people have access? This is the way to the Situation Center. It's the office of the UN's intelligence service. Only a small handful of people have access here. Most employees previously worked for other intelligence organizations or the military. But what exactly happens here?
We maintain a 24/7 watch around the clock, and what we do is we monitor UN field presences. So we're simply gathering information from our missions and we summarize it very early in the morning so we can produce a product that we send to all the seniors by 8:10 in the morning.
Here the UN employees gather important information and make decisions that could change the world. Mystery places.